Historical circumstances are the basic factors that build close cooperation in the military field between Vietnam and the former Soviet Union and present-day Russia. However, few people know that, in this field, ranked second is Israel, a small country and very far geographically from Vietnam. In this episode we will explain to you why Israel has such a special position, especially in the context where Russia is locked in a brutal war with Ukraine and it is unknown when it will end. Even Vietnam and Israel are thousands of kilometers apart. They have one thing in common: always have to fight against enemies that are many times bigger and richer than themselves. For Vietnam, in the past it was France, the US and more recently the northern giant Nigbor. For Israel are dozens of Arab countries. To fight them, both countries need weapons with the following characteristics: effective, cheap and practical. In most forced wars, Vietnam's strategy is to avoid direct confrontation or, in another way, a long and guerrilla war. Weapons for guerrilla warfare must be different from those used in a face-to-face war. And fortunately Vietnam found in Israel weapons suitable for its tactics. On the other hand, Israel is a reliable weapons supplier. The weapons they create are tested in real conditions on the battlefield, not in the laboratory. They sell to Vietnam but do not require accompanying political conditions. In terms of geopolitics, Israel is not a potential opponent of Vietnam and is not subject to any political pressure, whether it is the US or China. The Vietnamese army needs millions of rifles. To replace the old Soviet AKs used for 100 years, Vietnam signed a contract with Israel, buying the copyright to produce Galil Ace rifles. The contract value was revealed to be up to $100 million. Due to historical conditions, Vietnam is said to own up to 1,200 T-54 and T-55 tanks. However, these vehicles, built in the 60s and 70s of the last century, no longer meet the conditions of modern warfare. According to the plan, the first upgrade is about 300 units with changes, changing the aiming system, changing better artillery and machine guns, adding armor to increase bullet resistance. In 2016, Vietnam ordered 3 Spider air defense missile complexes. This means rejecting Russia's Pantsir S-1 air defense system, accompanied by 125 Derby missiles and 125 Python missiles. Thus, each combination will be divided into more than 80 missiles, very consistent with the amount of ammunition allocated, both ready for launch and stored, for each Spider SR combination according to the manufacturer's design. Vietnam is also said to have purchased Heron-1 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, from Israel worth $140 million. Heron-1 currently costs about $10 million per unit, although Israel can still be flexible in negotiating the price. When sold as a system, 3 Herons, a ground control station, maintenance and training equipment, the price is around $50 million or higher. Heron is capable of carrying a variety of sensors, day/night video camera, radar, laser rangefinder, etc., and often provides target information about fighter jets and attack helicopters. According to Strategy page, Vietnam is the 3rd largest buyer of Israeli military equipment. India ranked first as the country purchasing about half of Israel's military equipment exports, Azerbaijan ranked second with 12% and Vietnam ranked third with about 6%. Over the past decade, Israel has sold weapons and military equipment to Vietnam worth about $1.5 billion. Vietnam has bought many military equipment from Israel such as Derby air-to-air missiles, Spider air defense systems, built a factory to produce ACE assault rifles and air defense radar systems. Vietnamese people greatly admire an Israeli named Simon Peres, who later became Prime Minister of Israel from 1984 to 1986 and from 1995 to 1996. In 1950, this 27-year-old young man was assigned the task of procuring weapons for Israel. He could not hide the thought of building his own factories to produce weapons for his country, even though at that time he was considered crazy when Israel could not even produce bicycles. Under the support of David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister and founder of the State of Israel, he helped Al Schwimmer create the private corporation Israel Aviation Industries, IAI, in 1953 with 70 employees. At first, the company mainly maintained aircraft for the country's air force. But only 6 years later, IAI produced the first aircraft based on a French design called the Tsutkit. Viettel Company, under the Ministry of National Defense of Vietnam, also has their own specific dreams and plans like Simon Perez. Initially, this company successfully produced the first UAVs that were exhibited at military fairs around the world. Their plan is to produce a UAV with a wingspan of up to 20 m, a range of 150 kilometers and a flight time of up to 20 hours. Well, we wish them success and that Vietnam will soon become an independent and self-reliant country, not dependent on any other country. A dependent country is just a tool for others.